Hello class. So I was recently asked about tint and shade and how to use it in this assignment and how to come up with it in Photoshop. So the best way to do this is to go to your foreground colors, foreground background colors down in your tool panel. So I'm on the left side of my screen and I'm going to go down to my foreground color and double click it or single click it. And I have a value here, so I'm going to type in a value, a color that is familiar with people. So this is 100, and we're gonna go that 68, 0, and 0. So this is like an electric blue right here, this color. So to add, we want to, the reason why we're adding, we talk about tint and shade and hue and saturation and brightness is to describe the color. So it's, in this assignment, it's less about having the numbers. It's good to show the numbers to show that you understand how the numbers are influencing the color, but it's really about understanding the values of the color. So the values and the descriptions, the brightness of all the colors. So if we're talking about the lightness or the darkness, we're talking about the value. If we're talking about the brightness or the saturation, we're talking about how intense that color is. So those are the how you're going to actually discuss the color. So this color right now has 100% cyan, magenta, and if I want to make this, if I'm going to say this is a darker shade of this color, I have to add in the black. So black, so every time you add black to a color, you're adding a shade. Every time you add white to a color, so you're reducing this by a percentage, you're adding white to it, and that makes it a tint. And every time you add gray to a color, which is, we're not going to be adding gray into this, but if you were to add gray into this, it would be a tone. So understanding how you come up with those colors is the main point of this assignment. So I'm going to show you how to make a tint of this. So we have our 100%, we can take this to 90. So this is a 90% tint, and this is going to go to 58. So as you can see, our circle moved from the right to the left, so it's getting lighter. So this is a 90% tint of what we had. So I'm going to take those values back. So this was 100, and let's do a drastic tint. So this is a 50% tint. If I can delete it, 50% and 18, right? So this is a 50% tint of that electric blue. All right, so if we were to use this color, and we would say we would say this is a 50% tint of an electric blue, something that everybody's familiar with, or 100% cyan, a cyan color, or magenta. This is a 50% tint of magenta. So you have to have a color that people already recognize before you try to describe it with a tint or shade. So if we were to add a shade of this, so let's go back to our original color, 100%, 68, and a shade of this would be, let's do a 50% shade. So this is 50% darker shade than it was before. So understanding how much black you've added to it or how much white you've added to it, that allows you to describe this color in more detail. So when it comes to hue, saturation, and brightness, so right now we have 208 degrees. So this is the way that Photoshop works, is it's 208 degrees from the original color. So if we were to take this all the way to, let's see, so if we were to take it all the way to 0, so 0, this is 0 on the color wheel, and this is 208 degrees from that. So, and then we had our blue. Actually, let me put that back in there. 100%, 80%, 0, 0. So this is 212 degrees from the original color of black, and then it has a 98% saturation, 63% brightness. So what we want to do is we have our color, our hue, which is the color, which is the blue, and then our saturation would be how saturated that color is. So is it highly saturated? Which is 100% right now? So this is a highly saturated color, which means it has a high intensity. The brightness is 63, so it's a medium brightness. But if we want to change these numbers, so we can go 100% brightness, so it's a lot brighter and more. I like to use the word intense, so it's a more intense color. So it's 100% saturation, 100% brightness, and of that hue, that color that we originally had. So that's how you'd use the hue, saturation, and brightness. Again, you can use the 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 black for shades or the percentages for tints as well. So this is primarily to help the client understand how you derive these colors, or help your team understand how you derive these colors, or if you're working with the team, also what direction they should be taking. So you can say, oh, this color is, you're telling your design team, this color is too dark. Can you have a tint of it? So add 10%, add 90% tint to this, or add 10% more white to this color. So it's understanding how to describe the colors to someone else. All right. So that's the goal of this assignment. So if you have questions, I hope this clarifies. I hope. But if you have questions, just email me, and I'll try to walk you through it as well. All right.